Well, unfortunately, we've lost Alan Fisher from Indianapolis. Alan has been covering the Indiana primary for us all evening. It's perhaps no surprise that his system has run out a little bit of steam. In the meantime, let's talk to Peter Mathews. He was the Democratic Party's nominee for the U.S. Congress in 1998, and he's also the author of Dollar Democracy. He's joining us now live from Los Angeles. Thank you very much indeed for your time, sir. Alan was talking about the money men and the influence that they have in terms of the Republican Party, but this is also relevant to the Democrats as well. Give us some indication of how you think the big money, as it were, for the remaining few weeks of this campaign is going to move in terms of both the Democrats and the Republicans.
Yes, very interesting. There's a big difference in the two sides, because on the Republican side, the candidates have to raise private money, big money, from corporate PACs and also from super PACs and donors. But on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders, the candidate who's challenging Hillary still, has a tremendous base of donors of over 7 million donations, and he's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars already, at least over $100,000, and he still keeps getting the money coming in, so he can actually last a lot longer than Ted Cruz could, because Ted Cruz had a very devastating loss today, over double digits, and he is dropped out, as you know. So I think it's different on the Democratic side, because Bernie Sanders is vowed to go all the way through the conventions, all the way into the convention, and even take it to a floor fight, because his ideals are important for him and his followers. And Hillary has to bring those Bernie followers over if she can. Many of them are very skeptical because they believe in no money in politics. They want private, small money, small donors like themselves, not the big corporate donors that Hillary has taken. This has to be worked out in some way or the other. But it is a different scene on the Democratic side than the Republican side. Yeah,
but Peter, I wanted to ask, I mean, Sanders has made a significant impact on this campaign, not least because he was competing against Clinton, but also in many ways he seems to have been setting the agenda for many of the discussions that were going on during the campaign, and also the fact that he, if I understand correctly, he at one point in March raised $44 million on his own. I think Clinton at the time only raised 21.9. I'm sure you're more across the figures than I am.
Yes.
Give me an indication.
Those figures are correct.
Well, give me an indication where you think Sanders is going to, what role Sanders is going to play in the event that Clinton does make the presidency.
Well, let's first backtrack a bit. Clinton has to still win 2,383 delegates, including her pledged delegates and super delegates, because by the pledged delegates alone, she's going to fall short of the 2,383. And Sanders, so will Sanders. So it looks like the key players are going to be the super delegates, and Sanders is going to make a very big pitch to the super delegates saying, I'm the stronger candidate. The polls are showing me ahead of Trump, far ahead of Trump, whereas Hillary is much closer. And I saw one poll where Hillary is actually tied with Trump right now. So Sanders is going to try his best to say, we brought new people in. We can activate excitement among the Democrats and the independents. I can even win Republican votes, Sanders will say, as he has in Vermont before. And he'll portray himself as a stronger candidate that can take on Trump and defeat him. And he'll say that Hillary has too many weaknesses. Of course, that's to be expected that he's going to say that. The question is, will the delegates buy it? And there's going to be one big hell of a floor fight, I'm sure, on the floor in the July convention. It'll be very interesting to watch.
I was talking to our correspondent Alan Fisher earlier on about the way that Donald Trump has changed his public profile over the last few weeks. He's become, we saw it tonight as well, he's become slightly more subdued. At one point, Alan was describing as an effort to become more statesman-like. Do you think that we're going to see Trump developing that, or the Trump that we're seeing now, is that the Trump we're going to get?
I think he's definitely have to make a shift, because he was way out of control with his remarks about women, about immigrants, and about Muslims, and people were getting very offended by that. And of course, the gung-ho, blue-collar, working-class, unemployed Republicans, many of them, were voting for him, mainly men. But he can't, that's too narrow a base. He cannot win in the fall. That's why he changed his tone today somewhat. And you'll see him continue with that and try to win over some of the Democrats, because he's come out against free trade, such as the TPP, and that's a problem for Hillary, because she was a chief architect of it when she worked with Obama. And that's a free trade agreement that's even worse than NAFTA. And he's bringing aboard, Trump can bring aboard a lot of blue-collar workers that'll switch from the Bernie side to him. Believe it or not, at least 10 to 20% of the Bernie voters might actually, let's say 10%, will vote for Trump in the fall. And about 30% are saying they're not going to vote for Hillary. So there's an interesting change that Trump is making in his personality and his approach to the issues. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Bernie's carrying on through the convention, and how will Hillary actually adopt the really progressive agenda that Bernie has come up with. Also, Bernie, by the way, tonight he won Indiana by 7 points, or 6 points at least, over Hillary. So he'll be getting some more delegates there as well. So it's going to be interesting how Trump will make the transition, and also how will Bernie and Hillary continue through the end here and then win in the fall. It's going to be very, very exciting for all of us, especially we political analysts.
Peter, thank you very much indeed. Always get to get your opinion on this. Thank you.